Hey, all you cinema buffs out there. Dennis and Nate bringing you our review of Free Fire. Now, Free Fire is the new action movie from a relatively new director, Ben Wheatley. And so this is very contained, kind of smaller scale action movie. So what did you think with the direction of taking this kind of like a big shootout scene, but just making it one location?
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect. I saw the trailer and I thought the trailer felt a little disjointed, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to get out of the movie. And I think there's a reason behind that. It's because of the direction of this movie and because of the setting. It is contained in this warehouse, and it's like a slow burn action scene, I would say. I feel like it was one of the more realistic takes on a shootout and a crime deal gone wrong, basically.
Right. Yeah, it's a deal gone bad and turns into this big shootout. I felt like there would be trouble trying to keep the story going. Are you going to be interested for the entire time? And I felt like that's where this movie kind of fell flat for me. There's times where I was bored in this movie. I mean, there is comedy in this movie throughout. And it's pretty funny. The characters they help move the story along, but there's no real story to it.
Right.
To the point where, when the ending rolls along, it's like, did that character deserve to, emerge victorious and walk out with the money, and why? I just felt like there wasn't enough story.
There was very little story, very little backstory for any of these characters at all. Really, you get maybe a little snippet at the beginning, but other than that, what I did like is that the characters were, you could tell who was who during the action. They dressed them up in the right way. People were wearing different colors. Mm-hmm. Their personalities shined through. Without having any backstory, I still thought these characters were individuals, not just goons or cronies. They all had their own little niches, their own comedic references, and I think that the dialogue was so funny, and I thought they achieved a lot with this when it comes to dialogue and situational comedy, and also turning the action genre on its head a little bit. People were bad aim in this movie. They got shot in the legs and the arms, and I liked that aspect. It wasn't your run-of-the-mill action scenes.
I think that Armie Hammer and Sharlto Copley were big standouts for me.
Yeah.
But the two actors who I kind of expected more of, because I've seen better work from them, Cillian Murphy and Brie Larson, they just kind of fell flat.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they took a really straight approach to this. They didn't have any comedic I mean, Brie Larson has a couple cool looks there. Brie Larson felt the most out of place, and she is the only female in the entire movie, so maybe that was the intention of it. She did a good job, but they didn't give her much to work with. And I agree with Cillian Murphy as well. He didn't have that much to work with either.
Yeah, they tried to kind of put in this almost forced romance with them to kind of carry you through the movie, because there's no one, you can't really tell who you're rooting for when this is going on.
No, I thought it was more of a who's going to get out of this type of situation. That's what you should be wondering more than who should you root for. You aren't rooting for anybody. There was people specifically that I wanted to die more than others, but I wasn't rooting specifically for one person. But I'm happy to see movies like this. This is a director that took one place and a bunch of characters and put them in there, and I disagree with you. I was entertained the whole time. I felt like the firefights could have happened a little bit, punctuated a little bit more smoothly, but all in all, I was very surprised and pleased of how entertained I was by this movie, how much I laughed, how there were some shocking gore parts and things like that. I really enjoyed my time watching this movie.
Sometimes the way that the action scenes were shot and framed, it was a little hard to tell where people were in relation to each other, and that was my big beef with the action scenes.
That is a big fault.
I feel that the comedy carries this movie, and it keeps you entertained, but the pacing itself, there's times where it's just shot after shot of people crawling around, and I feel like that was a physical representation of being in the theater. We're just crawling around to place to place to place. Come on, let's get going. See, I appreciate a smaller scale action movie, but it's just, I didn't feel enough happened where this really feels like an action movie.
I thought it was funny that they were all crawling around. It was such this weird, they kept visiting each other. They kept crawling around to one person being all right, let's figure this out. And they're just that's not working. They crawl around to another person. I thought that was, I could see where you're coming from a little bit, but I never felt like it was crawling as far as the movie's pacing. But I do agree with you that some of the placement of the characters, I was a little confused of where they were. And also some of the action was just a little tight and a little shaky, a little dark. I didn't really know exactly, there was a death or two there where I was what just happened? How did that happen to that person, kind of thing. But other than that, I don't really have many gripes. I admire these movies, and it makes me happy as a low budget, no budget type of filmmaker to see that you can make a tight spaced action thriller.
The execution leaves a lot to be desired. I feel like they could have changed the pacing a little bit and make the movie a little bit more interesting. Maybe some flashbacks to the characters, you know, kind of show their motivations while you're there. Because, like, with Brie Larson's character, I'm like, who is she? Is like, she's some kind of liaison? It seemed like she was on Cillian Murphy's side, but then she's all buddy with Charlton Copley's side.
Yeah, she was really the middle person.
Yeah,
of the
and
whole
just
situation.
like, I mean, Armie Hammer, he comes out, I am the middleman, you know, he's just, he's brokering the deal. But with, like, Brie Larson, you didn't know where she was coming from, and then there was like a little confusing dialogue when he's like, oh, are you FBI? And it's like, it's going to be revealed she's a cop at the end.
Yeah.
And things like that. I just feel like they could have broken up the movie a little bit, maybe go back and forth in the timeline a little, and give you some more character depth, because it was, yeah, you're right, it was who's going to make it out, but you didn't have anybody to root for. You didn't have anybody to go through the journey with. So I feel like that is like my biggest gripe. I just didn't feel like I really went through a story.
Yeah, and I wonder if they were trying to steer away from Reservoir Dogs by avoiding flashbacks. You know, they are in a warehouse, they're all alone, and shit's going down. So I wonder if they're just like, if we go flashbacks, it's going to be too Tarantino-esque. What I did enjoy about this movie is the setup and how shit gets out of control so fast. I like that a beef between two characters that happen outside of the situation is what triggers it, and it just sort of has a snowball effect where everyone's just shooting, and everyone's like, this doesn't... At one point I was like, halfway through the movie, I was like, do you think they could all just be like, all right, everyone just like, let's stand up, you grab the guns, I grab the case, let's get out of here. Like, but that never happens. It just seemed to escalate so quickly out of a stupid situation with stupid people.
Yeah. I think the first act of this movie, the setup was really well done, and it got me going. And maybe like think that the shootout was gonna have a big payoff to it, but that just kind of fell flat.
Buff.
All right, so we talked about Free Fire, we talked about what we liked about, what we didn't like. Go ahead and put a number on it, Dennis. What'd you think?
Yeah, overall, I did enjoy this movie. I did have a good time, but all my beefs with it are just from a storytelling standpoint. Like, I just don't feel like a story was really told, and I wasn't taken along this path. However, the action was entertaining, the characters were funny, and some of the performances were flat, but I think Armie Hammer and Charlton Copley really carried this movie. So I'm going to give it a passing score of 6 out of 10.
Wow, okay. I like this movie way more than that. I want to see this again. I think it's a movie that is inspirational for filmmakers on a small scale. I thought it moved forward quickly. It was short enough as well. I'm glad that it didn't drag. And all in all, I just had a really good time with Free Fire, and it was a great, pleasant surprise for me. So I'm going pretty high, and I'm doing 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie. Highly recommended.
Buff.
All right, so that's our review for Free Fire. What did you guys think? Have you seen the movie? Are you planning on seeing this movie? I don't feel like it's that well known. It sort of snuck up on us. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe as usual. We really appreciate all the support.
Yeah, we truly do. And next week we'll be bringing you our review of The Circle, starring Emma Watson and Tom Hanks. So a couple big actors in this one.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. So we'll bring you that review next week. But until then, don't forget,
there's no place like the theater.